Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to show you the list of some currency making strategies that you can do during the league start, and most of them you can also do during later stages of the league, but here I'm gonna focus on the league start scenario. The reason why I am making this list is because a lot of people are asking me during my streams. I am in white maps or yellow maps, and I started to struggle and I can't progress further. Could you tell me what would be the best way to make some currency at that point so I can upgrade my build? So the way I designed this list is so that first strategies you can do very early on in your progression, and some of them you can do even before you finish the campaign. And there is some stuff in around white and yellow maps, then some red and super endgame strategies that you can aim to do later. So the goal is so that everyone can find something here for himself. But before I start this list, I quickly want to mention the chaos recipe, because that is going to be a big part of some strategies. So first of all, let me show you the wiki page. So in wiki you can see the 2 chaos orb recipe, which is you have to sell all identified items to a vendor between item level 60 and 64. So what that basically means is that if you're gonna sell full set of the unidentified rare items to a vendor, so 1 chest, 2 weapons, 1 pair of boots, helmets, gloves, 2 rings, 1 amulet and a belt, you are gonna get 2 chaos orbs. So again, it has to be item level at least 60. Okay, so now let's start with the first strategy, which is going to be endless heist. So to do that, you're gonna need some rogue markers. You're gonna use it to enter the rogue harbor. And by the way, I am not gonna explain every single strategy in details because the video would be too long, so you can just type the name of a strategy in YouTube and you're probably gonna find some detailed guides for it. So the way you're gonna do it is you're gonna need a character that is at level at least 60, so that you can start dropping items for chaos recipe, and then you're gonna go to the Wakano and you're gonna be able to buy the contracts. And the contracts you mostly want to buy are the demolition, counter thaumaturgy and the lockpicking. And you're gonna buy them mostly for orbs of chance, some of them for alchemies. At the beginning you might struggle with orbs of chance, but then after you do some of them, you shouldn't have issues with them. And after you're gonna buy them and then run them, and if you're gonna level up, you're gonna refresh the Wakano and you're gonna be able to buy a new set of contracts, and this is up to level 67. So to be able to do this as an endless heist, you will have to de-level your character. So to do that, you're gonna use 1 scroll of wisdom and 1 orb of scouring, and you're gonna sell it to a vendor, and you are gonna get the book of regressions. And if you're gonna use it, you are gonna lose 1 level. So if you are, let's say, at level 66, you're gonna be at level 65. Then Wakano is actually gonna reset again, and you're gonna be able to buy new contracts, and then when you're gonna level up, you're gonna be able to buy new ones again, and you're gonna just endlessly farm the heist. And the most important thing is to not reach level 68 and above, because then the Wakano is no longer gonna reset. And this is pretty much the strategy that is the most popular right now, early on in the league, because it's very easy. You can make a ton of money during it, and you can do it again at level 60, so you can do it even before you finish the campaign, and you can get a ton of jewelry and the other items, so you can make some profit from Chaos Recipe, and obviously from some additional loot from the heist. So moving on to the next strategy, which is going to be Blighted Maps. So Blighted Maps are very similar to Heist in terms of difficulty, but the biggest difference is that you can't do Blighted Maps during the campaign, because you need a map device to be able to use a Blighted Map. So you need at least to complete the campaign to be able to start this strategy. And most of the builds should be able to do white Blighted Maps as soon as you reach the maps. They are not that hard, but if you want to reduce the difficulty, you can use either free clear oils, sepia oils, or preferably amber oils to reduce the difficulty. The best one is the amber oil. And eventually you would progress to using something like teal oils to reduce the duration of the encounter. Also, you can start alcheming, using the orb of alchemy on them to increase the difficulty, but also increase the rewards. And the reason why I say that this strategy is very similar to Heist is that because you are mostly gonna profit from Chaos Recipe, just like from Heist, and from some just additional rewards that you drop from the chests. And prices of Blighted Maps are usually between 5 and 10 chaos early on in the league, and you're gonna profit that just from the Chaos Recipe. So all of the loot you're gonna get basically for free. And obviously eventually you can progress to farming yellow Blighted Maps, red ones, and maybe even Ravaged Blighted Maps. But early on in the league you can focus just on farming white ones. Again, you can use some amber oils to reduce the difficulty, teal oil to reduce the duration. You shouldn't really use anything higher, so like violet or crimson, because you're not really gonna focus on the amount of rewards. You're only gonna focus on the chaos recipes, so you want as many chests as possible per hour, so you want to reduce the duration of the encounter, so you should be using the teal oils. But this is gonna make the encounter harder, so it is up to you to decide if you want to reduce the difficulty of the encounter or reduce the duration but increase the difficulty. Strategy number 3 is going to be just generic white or yellow mapping strategy using new Atlas passives. So I'm gonna link this tree in the description of the video, and the goal of this tree is to focus on very easy mechanics and just guaranteed profit. So for example, I am taking all of these free clusters for additional map drops, these 3 for harbingers, these 2 for additional shrines and additional monsters from the shrines. Here additional exiles, and exiles will be possessed by tormented spirit, which will give them more quantity, which is very nice for chaos recipe. And here I am taking these clusters for additional essences. On top of that, you have to remember that the new league mechanic is Arch Nemesis, and historically the league mechanics that are new earn pretty nice consistent profit. So to increase the profit from Arch Nemesis, I am going for additional rare monsters and magic monsters here, because magic and rare monsters will have a chance to drop the mod token for the Arch Nemesis league mechanic to be able to release the rare monsters from the statues. Strategy number 4 is going to be similar to the number 3, because it's also farming white and yellow maps, but this time instead of just generic mapping, you're gonna focus on bestiary. So we have bestiary clusters here, 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 and here. So you might actually think that the best pathing is through here, because it looks like just the most optimal line, but as you can see here, I have 87 points left, and if you look at this tree, it also has 87 points left, but we are pathing through the middle. And this is, in my opinion, a more optimal pathing, because now we are closer to the middle, so if you have some spare ATAS passives points, you can take some additional passives from all over here. And generally, more of them are gonna be better for this strategy than the ones that are around here. So the best things to take, in my opinions, are gonna be increase the map drops over here and here. And after this, you can take whatever you want. You can go for the Harbinger, essences, whatever, pretty much anything that we were taking from during the strategy number 3. So again, I'm gonna also link this passive tree in the description. And the reason why Bestiary is a nice strategy even in white and yellow maps is because beasts do not really care about the level of your zone. So most of the good red beasts can actually drop even in white maps. So beasts like Cracky Chimeral, which is Imprint Beast, and Phenomenal Plague Arachnid, which is the Split Beast, both of them can drop, or I guess can appear even in tier 1 maps. And this is why I am taking here additional chance for Caverns Beasts, and here Deep for the additional chance for the Phenomenal Plague Arachnid, and additional chance for the Cracky Chimeral. For the strategy number 5, I am gonna move on to the red maps. And to be honest, just the red map strategy could make an entire video, so I'm just gonna give you an overall idea how to make the red map strategy. And I would make them in 3 stages. So stage 1 would be just to pick one league mechanic and take all of the passives on the tree for that league mechanic. So I'm gonna use an example here, Blight. So you would take all of the Blight nodes, so here, here, here and here, and if you have some points left, you would just take whatever you can in between the Blight nodes and just pick all of them. But again, you would just focus on one league mechanic, and you would probably use a Scarab to guarantee that league mechanic in the map. And then obviously you would also choose the best map for that league mechanic. So for example, for Blight, the best maps are the maps that have some kind of tunnels, so Toxic Sewers or Phantasmagoria, because then all of the lanes can spawn as a one lane, which would mean that all of the rewards would be Blight rewards, which increase your chance to get the Blighted Maps. So again, stage 1 would be pick one league mechanic, take all of the passives, take whatever you can in between, use Scarab, and pick a map for that strategy. The second stage would be to do multiple league mechanics at the same time. So you would no longer focus on just one, instead you would again take just multiple of them. So for example, here you would take all of the Blight nodes, let's say all of the Metamorph nodes, all of the Beyond and Ritual nodes, because most of them are kinda close to each other. And at that point you would use the Blight Scarab, Ritual either on map device or Bloodfield Vessel, Scarab for Metamorph, and Beyond you can use on the map device. So now you would use multiple Scarabs and you would do multiple league mechanics at the same time, but this would be a bit harder because now you would need a better build that can do multiple different league mechanics. So for example, for Metamorph, your build should do a pretty nice single target damage, and for something like Beyond or Ritual, you probably would want to have some nice clear. So it would be a bit harder. Now the third stage of red mapping strategy would be to also include the sextants, because now we actually can buy sextants already rolled with the new compass currency, so people can itemize their sextants with the compass currency. Or you can just roll these sextants on your own. And now you can, for example, not only use the Blight Scarab, but also you can use Blight Sextant. So this way you would have 2 Blight encounters in maps. Instead of using Bloodfield Vessels for ritual, you can just use the ritual Sextants, and this way you are gonna also get the Bloodfield Vessels from the rituals. For the Beyond, you can get additional Beyond monsters on the Sextant, and for Metamorph, well, I guess the Scarab does pretty much the same thing as the Sextant, so it wouldn't really matter. But the idea is pretty much the same for any other League mechanic. So, for example, if you would go for Breach, first stage would be to just take all of the Breach nodes. Second stage would be to take the other League mechanics. So you would go, for example, for Breach, for Expedition, Harbingers, maybe something like Betrayal at the same time. And then stage 3 would be to also include the Sextants. But for the Sextants, you have to remember that you're also gonna need all 4 of the Void Stones, which require you to kill 4 of the endgame bosses to be able to get them, if you want to use all of the 4 Sextants at the same time. Now, strategy number 6 is also a red mapping strategy, but it is a little bit different from what I explained in the strategy number 5, because this one is not really focusing on any League mechanics. This one is focusing on killing map boss in map and just speedrunning map as fast as possible, not really clearing the map, just killing the map boss, and in between just doing some kind of fast League mechanics, like for example you can encounter randomly a Metamorph, just kill it quickly and move on to the boss. So why this strategy can be very nice? Well, first of all, because you're gonna kill the map bosses, thanks to these passives, you're gonna drop a lot of Elder and Shaper Guardian maps from map bosses. Thanks to Conquered Conquerors, you're gonna drop 25% more Conqueror maps. From these nodes, you're gonna drop map currency item from map boss. This is gonna give you some free intelligence. From this, you're gonna get additional synthesis map drops. Here, you're gonna get additional Scarab drops, and so on. So all of these focus on the drops from the map boss, so all of the top ones. And then everything here is kinda an additional stuff. You don't really need it for the strategy, but they are kinda useful. So if you are gonna focus on killing map bosses, at the same time you're gonna progress the one of the new 3 influences very fast. So either Searing Exarch, Maven, or the Eater of Words. And here the closest one is Searing Exarch, so you would go for this one. But obviously, if you want to, you can remove all of these passives and you can go for either Maven or Exarch of Word. It doesn't really matter, but again, if you are killing map bosses super fast, you will progress influence very, very fast. At the same time, you can also use Einhar Master Mission or Scarabs to get Bestiary in your maps, but you wouldn't really focus on killing all of the yellow and red beasts. You would just search for the good ones like Split and Imprint beasts. And the other passives are just random procs, so 20% chance to get Rogue Metamorph, 8% chance to get Rogue Exiles, 20% chance to have bodyguards next to your boss, 4% chance for Smuggler Cache, 10% chance for Bounty Target Pack, so just a lot of other random procs. The other things you might want to get are the mapping passives, so Shaping the Valley, Shaping the Seas, Shaping the Mountains, and Shaping the Skies, but that would depend on your map pool. And speaking of maps, for this strategy you would want to do the maps that have a very easy boss and the boss is super close to the entrance of the maps. So the best candidates for that are Mesa, Beach, City Square, and Ashen Fields, in my opinion. Ashen Woods, actually, in my opinion. So these are 4 top map picks for this strategy. Strategy number 7 at first might look like a meme strategy, but it actually has the potential to be one of the best strategies early on. And because it looks like a meme strategy is because it is taking pretty much all of the small passive points, except of some of the ones at the top. And it is doing that because it is focusing on farming maps. So all of the small passive points increase your chance to get maps. So the bottom ones give you 2% chance for an additional connected map to drop from unique map bosses. These ones give you 0.5% chance that the maps will be duplicated. The top ones give you 2% increase effect of modifiers, which also increases the pack size and quantity of the map, and middle one give 1% quantity, so it also increases the map drops. On top of that, we are taking the strongbox nodes for a chance to get cartographer strongboxes, and strongboxes in areas contain duplicated map items. We are combining this with twice tempted for guaranteed strongbox. You can obviously use things like ambush on map device and even ambush scarab to increase the amount of strongboxes in maps. I am also taking all of the map nodes and harbinger for some additional monsters in maps for even more map nodes. You can do probably different variants of this passively for this strategy. You can take some beyond nodes, you can take Kirak nodes for Kirak missions. You can probably do a lot of different stuff. You can even take these points, which I didn't have enough points to take them. But yeah, this is actually looking extremely good, but probably only for the first few days of the league when the maps are still very, very expensive. And strategy number 8, which is the last strategy that is using the Atlas passive tree, is bossing. And this is a very flexible tree. Depending on what type of bossing you're gonna do, you might want to take different passives. Obviously, you might focus on just one of the new influence bosses, so either Searing Exarch, Maven, or the Eater of Words, so you might want to remove the other two. But if you want to be very flexible and be able to farm any of the bosses, you would take all of these 3 clusters. You would take the Conqueror one, Elder and Shaper, and the Synthesis. But it doesn't really matter which boss you're gonna go for, you probably still would want to get the Elder and Shaper, because this is still gonna give you chance to drop the Shaper and Elder Guardian maps from any map bosses, and this is still gonna give you 25% increased chance to drop Conqueror maps from any map bosses, and the same for Synthesis. It will give you 1.5 chance to drop Synthesis map from any map boss. So if you're gonna farm, for example, Shaper, and you're gonna kill a lot of Shaper Guardians, thanks to this you're still gonna drop a lot of Elder Guardian maps, a lot of Conqueror Guardian maps, and a lot of Synthesis maps, and the same for farming Conquerors. And I actually don't think you can drop the other maps from the Synthesis maps, but I guess we will see. And obviously at the same time you can still progress the Searing Exarch, Maven, or the Eater of Words. And for other passives you can take pretty much whatever you want. You can take some things that give you some additional loot from the map bosses, but if you're gonna go for bossing strategy, you are probably not gonna finish your Atlas fully, and you're just gonna want to focus on killing bosses as soon as possible, so you might not have that many points left. So for the last 2 strategies, you don't need any Atlas passives at all, and in fact you can fully ignore Atlas. But you're gonna need a very nice build to be able to do these strategies. So the strategy number 9 is gonna be logbooks. So logbooks, you will most likely just have to buy them, preferably item level at least 80, and good price for them I would say is probably up to 50 chaos per one, and once you buy it you can split it using the split beast And split bees are probably gonna be pretty cheap at the beginning of the league. Probably maybe 30-40 chaos, so you're gonna save some money on buying logbooks if you're gonna do that. And in case you don't know how logbooks work, I'm not gonna explain them fully because they are pretty complicated, but basically there are 4 different zones you can choose from when you enter the logbook, and the zones you can go for depend on the logbooks you buy. So for example, this one only has Black Scythe encounter, which is gonna give you Black Scythe artifacts, and there are 3 other ones, which are Knights of the Sun, which is gonna give you the Knights of the Sun artifacts, and the second one is Druids of the Broken Circle, and third one is Order of the Chalice. And again, the 4th one is Black Scythe. So depending on the encounter, you're gonna get different artifacts. So which one of them is the best? And that's the best thing about logbooks early on in the league, is that actually all of them are extremely nice. So Dunning can be used, so his artifacts can be used to buy other artifacts and the logbooks, also some reroll items. Obviously Dunning is pretty nice. Gwennen is used to gamble for items, so you can buy any item and you can get it as a blue, yellow or unique version. So this is why Gwennen is pretty nice at the beginning of the league, because there is a lot of uniques that are expensive at the beginning of the league. Later on, most of the time people just gamble for Mageblood or Headhunter or maybe a Squire, but during the first few days of the league you can make a ton of money with just gambling for any other items, like some chests like Chevron's wrappings, or even jewels for Dead Reckoning and so on. So you can buy pretty much anything you want to, and you have a nice chance to get something expensive. For the Tuyen, he is also extremely nice early on because of the prices of some currencies. For example, the Splinter. Later on in the league, you would probably just skip it. It's not really worth to buy Splinter of Tool, but during like a first or second day of the league, this is actually a decent amount of currency. The same thing for things like Catalyst, the Legion Splinters, and so on. You can actually get a decent currency for a lot of items that you can buy from Tuyen. And the last one, which is the one that probably can give you the most amount of currency early on in the league, but is actually the worst later on in the league, is Rogue. And it is pretty complicated because this is the crafting guy, so you need to have some knowledge to know which items you should buy. So for example, you would buy this ring, which has some decent life roll but doesn't have any good suffixes, so you would hopefully buy it, and then you can upgrade some modifiers, and hopefully you would at some point reroll the suffixes, so you would most of the time get upgrades. So here you can reroll the suffixes, so I would take this one. Now I got some resistances and pretty nice int and strength, which is decent. Remove all suffixes I would skip. Remove all prefixes I can skip because I already skipped one, so I would just take this item. So not always you're gonna get something nice, but early on in the league you actually can get extremely good items, and combining that with the new crafting system, which is the adding implicits to the items, this is a pretty nice way to get some just good items with good 6 explicit mods, and on top of that you can add good implicit with new currencies. So again, Rogue is extremely good. Most importantly, the boots and weapons are probably the best things to craft with Rogue. So again, expedition logbooks are extremely nice, but they are also very hard to do because of all of the modifiers you're gonna add to the monsters thanks to the remnants, and also the bosses in logbooks are extremely hard. Not all of them, but some of them are extremely hard. So the builds I would recommend for the logbooks would probably be Skeleton Mages and Toxic Rain, because a lot of monsters have shields, so, and something like ward, So Toxic Rain is damage over time build, so it would go through the ward very easily, and a lot of remnants also add immunity to certain type of damage, and skeleton mages do not really care about that because they deal fire, lightning and cold damage, so even if you take remnants with immunity to one of them, you can still deal damage with the other two types. So as long as you don't take all three of them, and preferably not two, because that would also reduce your damage by a lot, you should be fine in logbooks with skeleton mages. And now for the last strategy, it's going to be farming simulacrums. So this is my favorite strategy that I have been doing for the past few leagues, and during the last league I made around 5 mirrors within the first 2 weeks of the league thanks to farming simulacrums. And there are two ways you can approach farming simulacrums. You can either go for a lower amount of waves you can do, so probably around 20 to 25 with extremely good gear, but you are playing a build like Toxic Rain, which can level up a ton of gems, probably around 27 gems, and most of your profit is gonna come from leveling gems, not really a loot. Obviously some of it is also gonna go from loot, but you are gonna focus on the gems. And the second approach is to not really ignore gems, but not really focus on it. You are still gonna level 9 gems in your weapon swap and maybe some additional in your main setup, but you are gonna focus on just having extremely good build that can clear 30 waves, but not only clear 30 waves, but also be able to get at least 5 rewards every single time. This way you are gonna get extremely good rewards from them. But this is one of the hardest content in the game right now, so obviously not everyone can do it, but if you are one of the first people that can actually farm simulacrums early on, you can make crazy currency because prices of simulacrums should not be that high early on. But that being said, this league, I do believe quite a lot of content creators are talking about this strategy, so a lot of them might actually go for it, which might increase the chances to simulacrums to be very expensive. But if that happens, then the strategy where you would farm delirium and just drop simulacrum splinters and sell them to people that are actually farming simulacrums, then that strategy would be pretty nice. So that's gonna be it. Obviously there's a ton of different strategies you can do. I didn't include all of them in this video, but I just focus on the ones that I personally like. And if you have any other strategies, feel free to leave them in the comment if you don't mind sharing them, and if I like some of them I will maybe mention them in some other videos, or I might try them myself during the league. So thanks for watching and see you next time.